Our time continues the Freedom broadcast. My name is Mikhail Baranov, and I'll tell you about the day's top news. Hello? Russia used 3 attack drones. A Garin drone struck a kindergarten in Kharkiv. According to the prosecutor's office, 48 children were evacuated from the burning building. It was only by a miracle that there were no casualties or injuries. In total, as a result of the massive shelling in the city, it is known that 1 person was killed and 9 were injured.
Fortunately, none of the children were hurt. There were 48 children. The air raid siren sounded in time, and the children were moved to the simplest shelter available in this private kindergarten. Yes, of course, they were terrified, and I am very grateful today to our state emergency service staff. Among our municipal workers, unfortunately, there is one who was killed. He was a real man. Sadly, he leaves behind a child with a disability and a wife. It's terrible, to be honest. Besides that, there are people who were injured. According to preliminary information we have right now, these could have been Garin 2 type strike UAVs with jet engines. But after inspecting the scene and collecting the debris, we will study them together with experts and will be able to answer this question precisely. If this is confirmed, it will be the first time such UAVs have been used against the city.
Today's strike on a kindergarten in Kharkiv shows that Russia is choosing the language of war. This was stated by European Commission spokesperson Anita Hipper at a briefing in Brussels. But she emphasized that the EU's position is clear. It is support for all efforts to achieve peace, including those of President Donald Trump and Ukraine.
We see that Ukraine wants peace, Europe wants peace, and the United States wants peace. And that is exactly why we welcome President Trump's initiative aimed at achieving this goal. But what we are seeing from Russia is the language of war. Just today, Putin chose children as his target. He once again targeted a kindergarten, killing innocent people. And on our part, we will do what we've been doing since day one, supporting Ukraine, supporting it in every way, as stated in the Declaration of the Coalition of the Willing, which was published just a few days ago, so that we can ensure Ukraine remains strong during, after, and before a ceasefire. For us, this means specifically increasing our support with military and financial resources for Ukraine. This also means working on our 19th package of sanctions.
Today, the Russian army attacked the capital of Ukraine with Shahids, Iskanders, and Kinzhals. As a result of the shelling, 2 people were killed and 29 were injured. There is destruction in several districts of Kyiv at once. Fragments of Russian drones and missiles hit residential buildings, where fires broke out. Our correspondent Victoria Chistiakina witnessed the aftermath of the new massive attack.
The Russian army's attack on Kyiv lasted all night on October 22nd. Russian forces struck with drones and Shahids, as well as ballistic and cruise missiles. Explosions rang out one after another in the capital. As a result of the shelling, the Dniprovsky, Petrovsky, and Darnitsky districts were affected. Hospitals, apartments in residential buildings, and industrial facilities were damaged. In this 16-story building in Kyiv's Dniprovsky district, several apartments on the 6th floor were engulfed in flames. A married couple died in one of them.
Police are documenting the aftermath of the enemy shelling in Kyiv. It was recorded that an enemy shell hit the 16-story building in the Dniprovsky district. During the aftermath response, the bodies of 2 deceased individuals were found. Investigative and operational teams are working at the scene.
Tatiana Kornienko knew the people who died. During the attack, she was sleeping at home with her 2 children. When she heard the explosion, she didn't immediately understand what had happened. She says that Shahids had flown over her house before, but this time it almost turned fatal for her and her family.
We heard an explosion and the windows shattered. Everything hit the 6th floor. Everything was flying there, and we were on the 5th floor, right below them. It all happened very quickly. We ran out of the house to the shelter very quickly. My neighbors upstairs died. There were 2 of them, a couple, with people about 60 years old. They were a close couple, together a long time. They always walked and greeted everyone.
Although the Russian strike mainly hit residential buildings and civilian sites, the main target of the attack was critical infrastructure. Immediately after the shelling, emergency power outages were introduced in Kyiv and other regions.
Due to the large-scale missile and drone attack on the energy infrastructure, emergency outages have been implemented in most regions of Ukraine. Because of equipment damaged by the enemy, the situation remains most difficult in the Sumy and Chernihiv regions. There are also attacked energy facilities and disconnected consumers in other regions. Emergency repair work began as soon as the security situation allowed. Energy workers are doing everything possible to restore the damaged equipment as quickly as possible. And here is a message from Ukrenergo on Telegram.
After massive Russian shelling, Ukraine urgently needs additional energy equipment and funds for energy resources. This was reported by Ukraine's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Andriy Sybiha. In addition, Sybiha called for tougher sanctions against Russia, a decision on the frozen assets of the Russian Federation, as well as strengthening Ukraine's air defense and long-range capabilities.
Once again, I appeal to all partners, institutions, and international organizations to mobilize additional energy support for Ukraine ahead of winter and to prevent a humanitarian crisis in the heart of Europe. We need additional volumes of energy resources and funds, mobile generating units, repair equipment, and extra air defense systems. This is urgent, and we will be grateful for every new announcement of assistance provided. Andriy Sybiha, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, on the social network X.
The Russian army continues to brutally kill the civilian population of Ukraine. An attack was carried out on the Brovary district in the Kyiv region. As a result of the shelling, a young woman and her 2 children, a 6-month-old baby and a 12-year-old girl, were killed. A man also sustained fatal injuries. Victoria Chistiakina, Yuri Shola, for Freedom TV channel.
Russia also attacked one of the infrastructure facilities in the Sumy region. As a result of the shelling, a fire broke out, which was not extinguished promptly, according to rescuers. In addition, Odessa region was also targeted by Russian forces. The enemy attacked Izmail with drones. There, energy and port infrastructure were damaged, and fires broke out. Power supply in the city is gradually being restored. Critical infrastructure is operating on generators. All necessary services are working to eliminate the consequences of the shelling. The number of wounded civilians in Zaporizhzhia has risen to 15, including 3 children. At night, Russian forces attacked the city with strike drones. Over the course of 3 hours, they carried out 12 strikes on residential neighborhoods. More than 40 apartment buildings and about 24 cars were damaged. They were parked in the courtyard. How are the consequences of the new Russian attack being dealt with? Our correspondents report.
3 Russian drones hit apartment buildings. Fires broke out there, apartments, balconies, and the roof of one of the buildings were burning. Yekaterina is trying to save the roses she grew by her building entrance. The flowers were covered with debris after the explosion of the attack drone. During the night attack, when the alarm was sounded, she woke up her son so they could go to the shelter together. While she was looking for the cat, the explosion happened.
So basically, I just grabbed him like this, ran out, and there was this huge flame right here. I kicked the door open with my foot, and then I heard everything start crashing down.
All of it. The roof caught fire over there. The blast wave damaged the balcony and blew out the windows.
We were sitting there, and I told my son, no, let's go, we need to leave. Don't clean up. We went to the shelter next door and stayed until 6.
Today's attack on this neighborhood isn't the first. Since the start of the full-scale invasion, the Russians have shelled it more than a dozen times.
I got through it okay. We're already getting used to this. The war has been going on for 3 years now. There's nothing unusual about it anymore.
And in Natalia's apartment, the explosion blew out the windows. The woman says she and her husband hadn't slept since 1:30 when the attack began. The couple thought about moving to another district, but they realize it's just as dangerous everywhere now.
We're displaced people. We're renting a place here. We don't know where to move. If only we could find another place, somewhere safe, or even a different city altogether.
As a result of the Russian army's attack, in various districts of Zaporizhzhia, 15 apartment buildings and private homes were damaged. Rescue workers are still clearing the rubble at the sites of the strikes. Utility workers are helping residents board up broken windows with wooden panels. Ola Prydekin and Boris Yakovenko from Zaporizhzhia, reporting for Freedom TV channel.
In total, Russia launched more than 400 aerial targets at Ukraine last night. Of these, 349 were neutralized, according to the Ukrainian Air Force. Specifically, 333 Russian drones failed to complete their mission. Additionally, 8 cruise missiles and 6 Iskander-ballistic missiles were shot down or suppressed, along with 2 more guided Kh-59 missiles. Ukrainian forces recorded direct hits from 12 missiles and more than 50 attack drones. The General Staff of the Ukrainian Armed Forces counted 167 combat engagements along the entire front line over the past day. The most difficult situation is in the Pokrovsk and Konstantinivka directions. Almost half of all the battles took place there. 17 times, the Russians tried to break through the Ukrainian defenses at the Lyman bridgehead. Another 13 assaults were repelled on the southern Slobozansky section of the front. And Ukrainian defense forces stopped 11 enemy attacks at the Oleksandrivka bridgehead. Over the past day, the Russian army did not advance only in the Kramatorsk and Pridniprovsk directions. Ukrainian defense forces eliminated 1,050 Russian occupiers over the past day. In total, according to the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, since the start of the full-scale invasion, Russia has lost more than 1,133,000 soldiers. In addition, as reported by the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, 2 tanks, 11 armored combat vehicles, and 12 artillery systems were destroyed the day before. Ukrainian defenders have also taken down 160 Russian drones. Drones attacked an oil refinery in Dagestan. A facility in Makhachkala was hit, almost 2,000 kilometers from Ukraine. This information was confirmed by Freedom sources. The main intelligence directorate of Ukraine also noted that the targeted strike was carried out by a Ukrainian-made drone. Let me remind you, according to the BBC, this year drones have struck more than half of Russia's major oil refineries, disabling about 38% of the country's refining capacity, which has also caused a fuel crisis within Russia and disrupted the logistics of the Russian Federation's army.
At least one of the drones successfully attacked and disabled a primary oil processing unit. After the explosion at the plant, a massive fire broke out. The impact on Russia's oil industry will continue and will only keep growing. Military intelligence will systematically drain the aggressor of the lifeblood of war. This is according to sources from Freedom in the main intelligence directorate of Ukraine.
And now we return to the main topic of the day, the massive attack on Ukraine. Yet another night that proves Russia is not under enough pressure. And Russia's talk of diplomacy means nothing until the Kremlin starts facing critical problems. This was stated by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky after yet another massive Russian attack. He emphasized that sanctions, long-range capabilities, and coordinated diplomacy from all of Kyiv's partners are needed to create serious trouble for Moscow.
It is already time to adopt a strong sanctions package from the European Union. We are also counting on strong sanctions from the US and the G7, all of those who strive for peace. It is very important that the world does not remain silent right now, and that there is a united response to Russia's treacherous strikes. Everyone who is now helping Ukraine with air defense systems and missiles. To them, you are protecting lives. We are grateful for this. And everyone who helps Ukraine with long-range capabilities brings the end of the war closer. Volodymyr Zelensky, President of Ukraine, on Telegram.
During his visit, Volodymyr Zelensky was already in Oslo today and held talks with Norway's Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Støre. During a joint briefing, the President of Ukraine noted that American leader Donald Trump had proposed a good compromise to stop at the front line, but Putin would not support it. The head of the Ukrainian state also thanked Norway for providing an additional energy support package of $150 million for gas purchases for the winter, and also for strengthening Ukraine's air defense.
We are very grateful for the tremendous support from the Norwegian people, as well as for your personal and diplomatic involvement, which is also of great importance. Second, energy. I think the people of Norway understand how important this is, how critical it is for protecting our people. Air defense systems, missiles. All of this saves human lives for these systems. We are very grateful to you and the people of Norway for saving the lives of Ukrainians.
After his visit to Norway, Volodymyr Zelensky immediately went to Sweden. The Ukrainian president was welcomed by Swedish Prime Minister Ulf Kristersson. During the talks, the parties discussed Russia's war against Ukraine and bilateral defense cooperation between Sweden and Ukraine. It is time to make the Russian dictator Putin feel a higher price for the war he has unleashed against Ukraine. This statement was made by Republican Senator Lindsey Graham. He praised the peace efforts of U.S. President Donald Trump and his team. He emphasized that ending the war will require the consent of both sides. Ukraine has already agreed, but Russia is deliberately continuing the hostilities.
Subscribe to The Gaze and stay updated on the most important events, top news from Ukraine and all over the world, in-depth analysis, exclusive reports and interviews, all on hand in our channel. Join our community of viewers and stay tuned.